Welcome to the Tuesday Review. I'm James.
I'm Nathan.
And I'm Callum.
And tonight we're joined by a very special guest, Jake, from Sunrise Arcade.
Yo.
So Jake is our resident video game expert and our resident Sonic expert. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I guess so.
I think we can all agree.
Yeah. Yeah, because tonight we are reviewing
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Detective Pikachu.
Yeah. We've got our resident Sonic expert to review the Super Mario Brothers movie. So we're reviewing Sonic the Hedgehog, which we're a few weeks late because everyone knows now the controversy of originally, like the trailer came out and originally Sonic, the CGI...
It looked a little off.
It was nightmare fuel. It was... They went for this...
Putting it lightly.
Yeah, they went for this weird, like, photorealistic... Like, they gave him teeth and...
And he only had like one eye or something similar.
No,
he had two eyes. Yeah, but they were like little beady.
Yeah.
Like, they tried to make him look kind of like a real animal, but it was just a weird choice.
Yeah.
Like a sort of studio, too many cooks kind of decision. And then, like, the internet went nuts. Rightly so, because what the hell...
what did you do to my boy?
Yeah, you massacred my boy.
You massacred my boy.
And so the studio was like, oh, I guess our complete lack of understanding of the fandom has come back to bite us. So they kind of had to get the studio who did the special effects studio to redo the design and make it more in line with the
games,
the video games.
Yeah.
My thing was, I was like, the movie's was never going to be good before the redesign, and even after the redesign, I'm like, too little too late. So I had no interest in seeing it, but of course, Nathan, Jake, and Callum, being the video game boys, were all like on board, and so you guys all saw it first, including Callum, and then we're all like, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of like what happened with Detective Pikachu, where I was like not really interested in seeing it, and then everyone was like, no, it's actually really good, and I was like, oh, okay, fine. Like after weeks, I was like, finally, I'll go see it. And this is kind of like the same thing that happened with Sonic, but unlike Pikachu, like because I kept asking you guys, I'm like, is it better than Pikachu?
Yeah.
And Nathan and Jake said yes, and Callum said no. And then I saw the movie, I was like, I agree with Callum, I enjoy Pikachu more. Yeah, I don't know, like, the Sonic movie, it's like, it's fine, you know?
I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah.
I saw it twice, and I still enjoyed it the second time. Like, I think for me, it was a good sort of family adventure movie. It had enough jokes to keep me entertained. Yeah. Obviously, there's stuff for the kids.
Yeah, it's very much, it's very much a kid movie.
But,
Yes.
Yeah. But, Jim Carrey at his height.
Yeah, for me, I said to you, it's a 5 out of 10 movie with a 10 out of 10 Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
So, like, he elevates what would otherwise be a pretty generic, kind of forgettable movie.
I agree.
I feel that way a lot about Detective Pikachu, which is why I didn't really
really?
I did enjoy Detective Pikachu.
Yeah,
but
not as much.
Not as much as Sonic.
Yeah.
Mainly because I think Ryan Reynolds did a fantastic job as Pikachu.
Yeah.
But I really feel like the other characters, I forgot the main
Yeah.
lead's name, but the lead male and female, I just feel like they overacted a lot at the start.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't enjoy that movie. Like, that was a big negative to me in that movie. But I didn't feel that as much when it came to James Marsden or Ben Schwartz.
Okay.
In Sonic.
Really? Okay, because I thought all the characters in this movie were completely generic and forgettable.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, like
Look, apart from Jim Carrey.
We'll go into spoilers now because the discussion will evolve to the point where we can't sort of skirt the issue. But I mean, the spoilers aren't going to be that great that you can't still watch the Sonic movie if you haven't already seen it. So, spoiler warning for the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie. But my thought was that the problem with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie is that if you just change Sonic to like a little alien guy and you change a couple of the names, it could be just any other generic kids movie.
Yep.
Whereas at least with the Pikachu movie, if you change the other names, you still be like, hang on, this is a Pokemon movie.
I agree.
You know?
I don't know about that, because with Detective Pikachu, it's not even based off an actual Pokemon game, so it's a little bit hard to compare that. Because with Detective Pikachu, it's based off the actual Detective Pikachu game.
Yeah.
So you'd have to change pretty much everything about it, the actual world
Yeah,
of Pokemon.
but that's what I'm saying is if you took the movie Detective Pikachu
No, what I
and changed Pikachu and the other Pokemon to like alien guys, and change a couple of the names,
what I think
people would still be like, hang on, this is a
Yeah.
Pokemon movie.
yeah,
You could also
because
say it's something like a, what's it called, Yokai Watch.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Yokai
well,
Watch is very derivative of
yeah,
that's what
they're
I'm saying,
all-
like,
they're all
it's the
derivative.
thing is, like, there's not a lot of Sonic stuff in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. There is at
Yeah.
the start,
There's a lot of references,
and
but
you there's at the start you've got like the Green Hill Zone and all that.
Yeah.
And you have Sonic himself and the rings, and technically Eggman. But apart
Yeah.
from that, it's just all in the real world. There's not a lot of references after the groundwork's been laid
Yeah.
as such. Whereas you look at Detective Pikachu, and
so
there's all
that's set
kinds
in
of
the Pokemon universe.
There's
yeah.
all kinds of references. Like you can clearly see Pokeballs.
Yeah.
There's Pokemon battles. They're all doing Pokemon stuff.
Yeah.
That doesn't. There's not really like. There's no Chaos Emeralds in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Yeah.
There's no like wider Sonic lore being kind of explored
Yeah.
in this film. It's just kind of like I was talking to James a while ago. We were talking about movies,
Yeah.
as
As we do. As we always do.
and we were talking about the He-Man movie. And James goes that there's this terrible thing studios do when they want to make a video game or a cartoon movie, but they
Yeah.
don't want to spend a
They
lot of
want to
money.
make a fantasy or a sci-fi thing.
All they do is say, "Oh, well, He-Man's going to come into New York,"
Yeah.
and that's essentially what they did with Sonic. They're like, "Well, we don't want to spend the money or the effort to have Sonic in his own world,
Yeah.
so we'll just put him in the real world and then just
Yeah.
film some stuff."
It's the same thing that happened when they made that Smurfs movie, and they made that bizarre decision to have like the Smurfs go to New York, and there's like like famous people cameos, and then they interact with the humans and they get into trouble. I'm like, that's a weird decision. Why not just make an animated movie set in the forest and like have all the funny Smurfs going on an adventure in a magical forest?
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, so like I think that's why Detective Pikachu to me is a better film.
Yeah.
Because it's literally set in that universe. They didn't say, "Oh well, we're
Yeah.
going to force Pikachu to come through a wormhole to come
Yeah.
into the real world,"
'Cause-
and he thinks in Ryan Reynolds' voice, and he has to get back to the Pokemon world.
yeah,
That
know what I
also
mean?
being said, there's a lot of different Sonic canons.
Yeah.
And this is a completely new canon once again. And in the Sonic Adventure movies, games, he is in the real world.
yeah.
So this isn't the first time Sonic has been in the real world without any real
Yeah,
explanation.
that's true. There's a lot of different games, and they changed the canons and the timelines.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Despite all
but-
this, I still liked it a lot.
yeah, but it's like my thing is like I just feel like they
I do
could
feel
have.
it would have been.
It would have been much better
in the Sonic world.
if it was just like an animated movie. Like I don't understand. They went to all this effort to make this movie. It's like they should have just made
Well,
an animated movie set
Like
in.
to skirt the elephant in the room here. There were other issues behind why they didn't make it a CG movie.
Considering how it started, yeah.
That and the fact
no,
that
but
the-
if they made it, if they were intent on making it a
Yeah.
CG movie,
That wouldn't have-
animated,
that problem wouldn't
they
have
wouldn't have
happened
had
at
that
all.
problem.
yeah, but I
Because
mean,
they wanted to make it more real world.
Yeah.
but also studio has an issue where they just don't pay the CG
Yeah, oh,
studios.
we'll get to that. But
that,
you know,
that's part of the issue
Yeah,
of
I mean,
why
yeah.
we don't see
But, like,
a Sonic CG movie.
no. But how many CG animated movies come out every year?
That's exactly right.
I'd say
Yeah.
Look,
hundreds.
we recently rewatched Incredibles 2.
Yeah.
And it still looks good. It still holds up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's Pixar.
No,
Let's not
but
compare
my point is-
Pixar
my point
to-
is though-
Paramount, who made Sonic the Hedgehog, have had a partnership with DreamWorks.
Yeah, like
So
we
why
did-
didn't they go to
yeah.
DreamWorks and like we're partnering with Sega?
Yeah.
Everyone in Australia says Sega, right?
Yeah.
Sega.
Because in America, like it's
say
Sega.
Sega a lot, yeah.
But yeah, but anyway, so I'm like, they could have just gone to DreamWorks or another animation studio and be like,
Yeah.
we want to make a. I don't understand this obsession with like Hollywood studios executives being like, we have to bring it to the real world
Where
and
is-
have cameos from famous people. And
Where is
pop
Where is
music.
the CG studio based? The
The
one
one-
they're working with, not for the Sonic movie.
the one that actually made the CGI for?
Yeah.
It's got
Is
multiple branches. The one that made Sonic was in Vancouver. The one that
Okay.
got shut down.
I was gonna say if it's in Southeast Asia, it's just offshoring for cheaper.
Yeah, well, the thing with Canada is they get tax breaks. It's why
it's most TV and movies shoot in Canada.
that and most CGI now gets outsourced to India or the UK or Canada because the US doesn't have the tax breaks. And then that way that means all the CGI studios have to make a bid to the Hollywood studio making the movie, and then they have to keep lowering their bid to get the job, because otherwise the studio is just going to outsource to another country.
Yeah.
And that's why all these animation studios and CGI studios keep going under. I recommend everyone watch Life After Pi. It's a 30-minute documentary on YouTube about the CGI studio who did the special effects or the visual effects for Life of Pi, and they won the Best Visual Effects Oscar after they had already gone bankrupt and had to fire everyone. And then as the guy was accepting the Oscar and was talking about the hard times they were having, he got cut off and they cut the mic, and it was disgusting. And it points to a larger problem with Hollywood where they
don't respect
the art, and they don't care about the people making the film. And because the digital side of things, the CGI side of things, is relatively new, even though it's been around for a long time now, they can take advantage of it, and they pay a studio a lump sum, but then if they make changes to the movie, or if they say we need extra here or whatever, they don't pay extra. They don't get paid overtime. But the CGI studio has to still fulfill the contract. So you get these animators working, 20-hour days for no pay, and then the movie comes out and everyone hates it because it looks like shit because these people have been working on something that keeps changing. And the director doesn't even go down to the studio and go hey, what's going on, guys? Show me what you got. It's they make a scene and then they kick it up through the studio, and there's everyone gets to have their little look at it, and then it gets to maybe the director or whoever making the decisions, and then it gets kicked back down the ladder, and then they might get kicked back down the ladder, and they're no, you have to change it, start again. And at this point they're probably not even getting paid.
Well, the industry conditions are famously terrible for CG. Was it the studio that did Sausage Party famously did not get paid any overtime, and it was hundreds and hundreds of hours of work a week for employees. So
we got ahead of ourselves, but the way this ties into Sonic is that after the terrible decision was made to make Sonic look like the devil, which should have never gotten to that point in the first place, but here we are with studio executives having no idea what the hell they're doing. After that point, so the CGI animation studio, I think they were called Motion Picture Company, MPC.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, they, and they worked really hard to make something that they knew looked like crap, because they were told this is what we want from the studio. So they made it, and then when everyone hated it, they were told, well, you have to do it again, and so they were forced to work in a very short amount, to reanimate Sonic in just a few months, I think. To make him look more like he is in the video games. And in the process, the MPC shut down their Vancouver branch, who did most of the work.
Yeah, MPC.
Yeah. Also, if I'm not mistaken, MPC is also the same company who did the CGI for Cats.
They've done a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, just in terms of the general, discussion of the last year or so, and Cats was infamously, nightmarish fuel. And again, why was the decision made from the filmmaker or the studio early on to make these characters look so terrible? And then when people complained about it, it's it was forced upon. And again, the CGI artist, the digital artist, they don't make the decision, they just do the work, and they do very good work. But again, as we've been talking about the last few weeks and pretty much every episode of the Tuesday Review, is it always ends up looking like crap, because it's just this, again, the studio and the filmmaker, they're making the wrong decision. They're kicking it down to people with there's no visionary to oversee. Yeah. I can guarantee you Ang Lee didn't even go down to the studio who did The Life of Pi and say, oh yeah, cool guys, well, show me what's next. He probably never even met those people. And that's one of the major problems with Hollywood. And that's why CGI is still terrible. It's because you've got all these people working so hard to make shit, not because they're bad, but because the people making the decisions make bad decisions, and then change those decisions halfway through and then force them to work overtime without pay.
Because they care more about the budget than what the movie ends up actually looking like.
But as we talk about all the time, is what they should be going is like, what can we do practically? What can we do in camera? Because those people, they get paid to be like for every hour. If they do overtime, you have to pay them overtime.
Ironically, there are quite a few strong unions in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's like
some of the strongest.
Yeah, and you get to the CGI, and because they're all over the world, it's kind of, there is no union.
And that's
as you were saying, it's like the lowest bid.
Yeah.
So it's just basically suck it up.
If America like heavily unionized their digital side of things, the CGI side of things,
it would all just move.
They would just ship it out to South Korea or India or whatever.
Funny, all those people would also unionize if there are other local.
Yeah,
there's always a new country they would.
Coming to you soon. But this is animated by North Korea.
This is what I always say to people is like, that's always the excuse. It's like, well, if we unionize, then they'll unionize, and then someone else. I'm like, the goal of humanity in general is every country in the world, from the poorest to the most wealthy, should be on the same level. So that no one gets exploited.
It's the Amazon or Google problem. They always have their headquarters in like the Republic of Ireland or other places that are tax havens.
Yeah.
And they pay no tax.
Yeah.
So all these big companies, including the studios and CGI companies, are always going to find...
And they outsource their manufacturing to sweatshops in...
Yeah, exactly. Sweatshops in China.
Asian countries,
they're always going to outsource to the cheapest market.
Yeah. But like...
How do you combat that? We don't know.
Well, like my point is, it might take 100 or more years, but eventually we have to elevate everyone in the world to the position where no one is being exploited. You can't exploit a 10-year-old kid in an Asian country to make a suit because they introduce child labor laws, or they introduce, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And of course that won't happen for a very long time, but
certainly not for digital artists.
No. Well, yeah. But I mean, that's the goal, that's the goal for for
life
logical,
that's the
logical
Star Trek
thinking
utopia
people.
Vision we have for
people like us who are like, why can't we all get along? But then you've got people who are just like corporate.
Yeah, I mean, we're all saying, wouldn't it be nice if... But I guarantee you there's someone in Hollywood would say, that's all fine and good, but
then I won't get $1 billion.
Yeah, but then how am I supposed to make a movie with only $100 million?
Yeah. But anyway, I was expecting to have that discussion at the end of the show, but we started there. So,
but it really is the elephant in the room of this whole Sonic saga of a movie.
Yeah, but it's like, and also to me, it's like seeing the first trailer, I was just like, this is a generic kids movie where Sonic could just be a funny little alien, and the decision to make him quote unquote realistic is so bizarre and indicative of Hollywood's problem of just not knowing what the fuck they're doing and having
little understanding of pop culture.
Yeah, and little understanding of the property that they have the rights to make a movie for. And then when the redesign happened, I was like, who cares? It's going to be the same movie. It's not like they reshot it or anything. But yeah, and then when I did see the movie, I was like, yeah, it's fine. Like, it's pretty forgettable, except for Jim Carrey, because he's amazing. And he just like...
elevates it.
Yeah, and they gave him like the script of the lines, and he's just like, nah. Yeah. He kind of just did whatever.
Which, look, to be fair, being a kids' movie, the script is never going to be amazing. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
The scripts for these movies are usually quite standard. It's not... They're not meant to be...
But my thing is like, you could still...
So Jim Carrey, obviously, he ad-libbed most of it.
Yeah.
And definitely elevated his character above the rest.
Yeah.
Just by the virtue of he wasn't following that standard...
I guess we should say he plays Dr. Robotnik, who's Sonic's arch nemesis in all the games.
So he, obviously he rose above the script.
Yeah.
Not to say the script was terrible, but it's a standard family movie, kids movie script.
Has a lot of product placement, awkward product placement.
All of that. Like, I didn't notice it the first time we saw the movie. I noticed it when they were saying it, but I didn't notice it as like going as hard as it was until the second watch. When all they talk about is Olive Garden.
Yeah, and also there's that...
They mentioned it twice, but it was very forced.
But there's also that weird bit... There's also that weird bit where they're moving to San Francisco and Tom's wife is like, oh, I looked it up on Zillow, and it like zooms into the... And I was like, what the... Like, it's just so... But Yeah, like, but that's the thing is, like, I feel like you could still make a family-friendly kids movie with a simple script, but it's like, why not set it in Sonic's world? You know?
Yeah.
Like, we see it at the start, like, where he's from. It's like the Green Hill Zone from the games. I'm like, even if you're not going to do a CGI animated movie, at least maybe play with the zones more, like the different, like, because the whole thing in the movie is that he gets chased away from his home realm
By the echidnas.
by tribe of echidnas who are trying to steal his super fast running powers, and he like uses the gold rings to transport to other dimensions, and one of the dimensions is Earth, and he lives there, and he's hiding out there. I was like, they could have maybe played with that more, where one of the dimensions is Earth, and you can have him join Tom, the sheriff of the small town who helps him. But it's like, then maybe they should travel to another dimension that's like, maybe one from the games, and then like, and then they could play with that, but that would take time and money, and they obviously don't really care about the, you know what I'm saying?
That also being said, I feel like that would take something needs to establish himself in the world first, so he needed to establish himself on Earth. It'd be kind of jarring to suddenly be introduced to Tom, and it's like, let's move to all these other worlds.
Yeah, but they could have maybe worked that into the climax of like Robotnik's chasing them, and it's like, how do we get away?
Travel around.
It's like, instead of he just runs up the building in San Francisco, it's like he's actually going, and they, like a portal kind of.
I agree with that.
That would have been cool. Also, like, so at the start of the movie, they also do that voiceover thing, which is really annoying and generic, and I hate it.
I don't hate it.
It's terrible.
Fine.
It's like,
fine.
You're wondering, how did I get here? Well, let me show. It's just the worst. But anyway, like, he's shown to be raised by a giant owl lady named Longclaw.
An original character.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that must be from one of the games, because there's different games with different canons, like we said. Yeah. And I looked it up, and I'm like, no, it's an original. And I was just like, what the hell?
This is a new canon.
Yeah, but I'm just like, what? Like,
that's not a major issue.
For me, it is
games,
because
technically in any of the games, I don't think Sonic even has an origin story.
Yeah, no, he's just origin.
Yeah, I think in the cartoons, one of the cartoons, he has a mother and brothers and sisters or something.
In Sonic Underground, he has a mother and two brothers, but that's only been used ever in that one cartoon.
Yeah.
And the others, he has, I think his name is Uncle Chuck, who, he was raised by his uncle, who essentially looks exactly like Sonic.
Yeah.
And that was in, I think, the original cartoons and possibly in the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, I think they should have done something like that, where he's from the hedgehog world, and he's got a family of hedgehogs, but he's the only one who can go fast. And so Dr. Robotnik comes to kidnap him because he wants to steal his powers, and his father or mother or whoever transports him to Earth. And then it's like a struggle to, like, Dr. Robotnik maybe comes to Earth and like chasing him. Like, they could have still had a similar story to the movie, but tied it more into like something from the games. So you can still have it set on Earth with live action actors, and James Marsden could be the guy who helps him and stuff. But it's more like it's got more of the zones and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do feel like Robotnik's place on Earth actually makes more sense in this case, because especially when you're looking for a kids movie, a lot of kids, I think anyone could question, why is Dr. Robotnik a human amongst all these little animal cartoon creatures?
I feel like this movie does a better origin story for Robotnik than it does for Sonic.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
the movie's a very good introduction to Eggman. Maybe not so much for Sonic and Sonic's larger lore, but it is a good introduction to Dr. Robotnik.
But I know this is a kids movie, and I know whatever, but like, one of the problems I have with a lot of superhero movies is they always do the origin story, and it's usually the most boring story.
Oh yeah.
And it's like they're just doing it because they want to appeal to a wide audience. But
I also think I feel like this movie escapes it because it's the first major Sonic.
No, but that's what I'm saying is Sonic is not really like we just said, he doesn't even have a family in most of the games. Like, he doesn't have an origin.
Yeah, but
like,
it's not a movie we've seen before. They need to set him up somehow.
Not really. You can just be like, he's a fast guy in the world, and then Dr. Robotnik comes and chases him.
I feel like this was unavoidable. Like, they had to launch him somehow. I
feel like that's a very, like, corporate way of, like, we have to introduce him to the kids. But all kids know Sonic.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it is a very corporate thing, and this is how the corporations do it.
But that's
not all kids know Sonic either, especially since there's haven't been super
maybe not anymore.
Yeah, maybe not anymore. But I feel like they want to do something with Sonic in a movie franchise, because there are teasers. There are a teaser at the end. The more may be coming.
Yeah,
whether it does or not, we'll see.
Yeah,
but they've left threads open. So, like, I feel like this movie was really. It is how the industry works, unfortunately. It's safer. Kids movie. It's safe. Yeah. It's somewhat.
But that's kind of my problem with the movie. Is it's just a safe, too many cooks corporate decision making movie.
But that's almost every kids movie that's not by DreamWorks or Pixar.
Yeah, but then you get outstanding ones, and this isn't that.
Yeah, but this is also, like, a lot of the greats are mostly standalone films too. This seems like it's almost going to be more of, like, a franchise.
Yeah, franchise. Yeah. But, I mean, I guess the thing with the sequels is hopefully they tease Tails at the end.
That's what I'm hoping it opens up more.
Yeah, I'm hoping the sequel...
They kind of tease Knuckles in a way, because his species exists.
Yeah, the echidnas try to kidnap him at the start. So that's what I was saying, is, like, the sequel could introduce more, and I was saying, because Knuckles is my favourite.
I want, like, a Predator movie.
Yeah, it's like
Knuckles is invisible and
Knuckles
he's trying to
be Knuckles could be the bad guy trying to chase after Sonic, but then eventually he becomes the good guy and helps them defeat Dr. Robotnik.
We need Big the Cat.
the greatest character in Sonic lore. But they do also kind of, at the end, they turn Jim Carrey, like, full into Dr. Robotnik, like full Eggman. Like, so I guess in the next movie, if they do another one, they could, go more into the other realms and the other Sonic characters.
Yeah, that's why I do think, like Nathan said, it's a good origin story for Robotnik.
Yeah.
Because, in the games, you could wonder, why is Robotnik amongst, this weird planet with all these animals? And then on top of that, in the comics, it's always just been about Robotnik's in power already.
Yeah.
This was kind of, where did Robotnik come from? It's like, okay, he was just a scientist on Earth. Then he discovered Sonic, and now he's
trapped in
because of his, obsession with robots and obsession to excel and, understand everything.
Yeah.
He now wants Sonic's power so badly that he's going to go to, any ends to acquire it.
Yeah. And that's what I would like from a sequel, is maybe the movie starts where he's like, whether he's on the Mushroom Planet or he's gotten off to another planet.
Yeah.
And he's like built a robot army, and maybe the echidnas are his minions, and then he sends Knuckles to find Sonic, and maybe that's why Tails is there to warn him.
Yeah.
Because
that's the thing about Knuckles. He's always manipulated by someone into thinking Sonic's
like an anti-hero,
guy. Yeah. So he's always manipulated by someone, and then he's like, oh no, I'm doing the wrong thing, and he starts helping. Yeah.
So, like, they could definitely do more of what I wanted in this movie in the sequels if they make them. But that's kind of my point, is like, it's an if they make them. And if they do make them, it's like, there's no guarantee that it will have all the stuff that I want. So that's why I'm kind of like, it's the first movie, you have to introduce some elements. But also, I feel like they should put as much of Sonic lore into it as they can.
Well, the movie did quite well. It's better than I thought it would.
Which is actually another point that we forgot to mention, is that if there wasn't all this controversy about the redesign, would it have done as well? Maybe not. I feel like it's the
movie was in a lot of news.
I think
it generated
it would have done well, but I don't think it would have done this well. So the movie has an estimated budget of in US dollars, 81 to 95 million, and its current box office is 295.3 million.
Yeah.
So it's done quite well enough usually to earn itself a sequel, you would think.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to somewhat forgive this movie a little bit. Because
I think you and Jake are too soft on it.
Yeah, but I feel like you might be too hard.
No. Yeah. I stand with James. Me and James stand firm.
Yeah, because I'm not I love Sonic. I played Sonic when I was younger. Jake's a much bigger Sonic fan than I am, much more of a Sonic expert than I am. But it's like, me watching the movie, I'm like, I want more Sonic stuff in this.
Just from a look. Just from a movie perspective, it was okay.
Yeah.
I honestly thought that it was a little boring in parts.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It definitely wasn't well paced. I'll say that.
The pace,
the middle got the middle got a little bit boring.
Yeah. And it was very samey.
Yeah.
To me, like, I understand it's a unique screenplay, obviously, but I feel like I've seen some of the tropes they employ. I've seen them how many times before? I couldn't
it's
tell you.
very generic.
But it was okay. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't that good of a film.
No, it's not.
Especially when you consider it has such a legendary IP.
Yeah.
You can shake your head, but I feel like James and me are the voice of reason.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Like,
see, people, it's subjective, right?
Yeah.
So me and James share a feeling on this film. You and Jake share a feeling that it's better than we feel.
Yeah.
But I feel personally, it was a pretty weak film considering how good of an IP it is.
It's also for me too generic.
Yeah.
When I'm like, I want to see more Sonic stuff.
Yeah.
Like just the action scenes alone, I was just like, Sonic's whole thing is speed.
Like also,
but a lot of this, because he's attached to Tom, a lot of his scenes he kind of has to return to a certain point, or like I would have liked more of a Flash kind of thing where it's like it's all about speed and momentum. It's like, kind of like in the games.
It's like the Flash, except you don't see his powers from his perspective.
You do the slow motion
just
scenes
briefly. But like I think.
But even the slow motion scenes are like played for comedy. Yeah. Like he's never really in danger.
What was the film? It was the X-Men movie, but it wasn't made by Marvel. But it had
X-Men movies have never been made by Marvel.
Oh yeah, but it had
the Quicksilver. Yeah,
and
there was Days of Future Past.
You know that one where he goes slow.
Yeah, Apocalypse. They did two. Yeah, they do that. They do that, but it's a bar fight.
Yeah, and it needed to have more Sonic-ishness.
Yeah,
and needed to have more style.
That's another thing. Like
here's the thing, but you have to take this movie from the canon that it's coming from. It's like, yes, we can agree. Like I agree with you that it would have been better if it was in Sonic's world.
Yeah.
But from the perspective of this is a new Sonic, this is not a battle-tested Sonic. That's why he's not fighting again just off the bat.
He hits a few people in the bar fight, and he does no damage. He doesn't know how to use.
He's not strong.
I'm not saying you should be like super strong or like a badass like warrior, but I feel like if his whole thing is speed, and in the games the whole thing is like building momentum and going faster and faster. Like I feel like they could have built action scenes and set pieces around that, but because again, like he's tied to the human world and he's tied to Tom. It's like he has to be in a certain place, and because Robotnik is chasing him some of the time, but not all of the time, and he's got his drones, like there's not like real high stakes.
Yeah,
they play with his speed a fair bit, but I wouldn't say there's too much action in it.
And that's the other thing. He also has to seem weaker than Robotnik, and Robotnik doesn't have the speed that Sonic has.
True.
That's why at the end, it makes sense when he utilizes Sonic's power.
To
become
move
as fast as him, and that's when the actual speed does get shown off when he's traveling around the world.
Yeah.
I still agree with you. It would have been better if it was other worlds.
Yeah.
But that is utilizing the kind of speed aspect and showing him running around non-stop.
True. But I don't know. I don't know. It felt so like it could have been any other movie if you just renamed a couple of things. Like I felt like you need that. Yeah. Like when you think of Sonic, you think of like the loops and the momentum,
the water drowning.
Yeah, and the and the bouncing off the platforms. Like we were just talking about Incredibles 2, like Dash. Like his powers are much more interesting. Like his speed, like the Flash, like running across water and stuff. Like they should have played with the idea of speed, especially because one thing I thought they didn't capitalize on was that Longclaw, his surrogate mother, tries to protect him by throwing him through the portal to Earth, but then staying behind to protect him, and then he tries to run back through the portal, but it dissipates before he can get through. And I thought they should have played with that. Like he always regretted he wasn't fast enough. And the whole movie, he should have just been, I need to go faster.
Got to go fast.
Yeah, got to go fast. That's
true.
So I feel like they should have really doubled down on that. And like every scene of him should have been like, I'm not fast enough. And there should have been a bit where Tom or one of the other characters is in trouble. And he's like, I got to go fast. Like they should really double down on the emotional stakes, and the speed.
They could have doubled down on that. That is an option. But one thing they did stick to a theme on was the fact that she said never stop running. Yeah. So Sonic was always afraid. That's why he never stuck to, he never found a family.
But that's why I think they should have played with the zones more, where he's been running. They should have maybe played with the fact.
I agree with that. Instead of just being on Earth, for the last 10 years, maybe he's come to Earth.
Yeah,
but he's been running around different worlds.
That's actually what I was going to say. Is that instead of the opening montage, just him being like in the cave, reading comic books and stuff, it should have just been like, and I did what Longclaw told me. I never stopped running, and you show him go to different zones. And you show maybe he settles in a zone and he maybe makes some friends, but then the echidnas come and attack him, and then he has to go through another portal. And eventually the movie starts where he gets to Earth and he's like, finally I'm safe, phew, I can settle down. And then Dr. Robotnik starts hunting him and he's like, damn it, not again. Yeah. But it's like, maybe he's only got one ring left. And it's like, this is my last chance. And that's why he becomes friends with Tom. Yeah. They can still keep the framework of the movie that Nathan and Jake like so much, but strengthen it and also bring in more elements from the video games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like they could have gone further with a lot of things.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't perfect, I'd say.
Look, it's not a perfect movie, of course, but I feel like it's still a good movie.
Yeah.
I think
also the performance of the other actors, like you guys said, they were forgettable. I think James Marsden played a great character.
I think he was really good.
And Ben Schwartz as well. Ben Schwartz, like, the classic Sonic that I remember from the cartoons was Jaleel White.
Yeah.
And
Jaleel White's so good.
It's hard to forget that. Yeah. But, like, Ben Schwartz did a great job of, kind of capturing that and being, like, this energetic little kid who doesn't know when to stop.
Yeah. I feel like, again, like you said, this version of Sonic is different and is doing a different thing. So Ben Schwartz is... to take on the character makes more sense for this movie. But yeah, I would have liked a more like badass, like Sonic Underground, like with Tood. You know what I'm saying?
I think eventually he might become that Sonic.
Maybe.
Because right now he's an unhinged little kid with too much energy.
Yeah.
Who has never
had too much sugar.
Yeah, exactly. He's never had a parent to kind of hold him back and say, settle down.
Yeah.
But I also think it was somewhat unavoidable. Like, we come up with all these good ideas, but it's still a studio movie, and this is the world we live in.
But you're making excuses.
I'm not making excuses
for a bad movie.
I'm not making excuses.
You are, though.
On any other episode, you would be on our side being like, damn, corporate decision making.
No, all I'm saying is it's a family movie. That's not saying it has to be terrible, but they're setting up a franchise, and this is the origin movie is always the worst one in the franchise. But that's right? Thor excluded because the Dark World is a piece of trash.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is they can do the origin, they can introduce it to kids who might not be familiar, they can make a safe family friendly movie, but also they can bring in more stuff from the games. They can double down on the character development and the world building.
When have they ever done that?
But
I'm not.
But that's what I'm saying.
I feel like we're expecting too much from the studio.
No, you're being complacent.
I'm not being complacent.
You're wearing kids' gloves.
No, I'm not.
You're kids' gloves for a kids' movie.
Yeah, but still, like...
So you're saying we should just give it a pass because Hollywood just keeps doing it?
No, I'm not saying giving it a pass. I'm just saying be realistic.
Come on, Nathan.
But are you saying, so let's just take Birds of Prey.
They have to introduce... This is not... But it's not a franchise. It's not Captain America that's everywhere anymore. The kids don't know Sonic that much anymore.
But he's still a popular character. Like, people know of what he looks like. They know he goes fast at the very least.
Yeah, but not the target audience.
I'm sure.
No. Not as much as we did when we were young.
Yeah, not as much, but they still know Sonic. Yeah, like, he's an icon.
Last time you played a Sonic game, Callum?
The last time I played a Sonic game? Like last year.
But
but for how long?
Did you finish it?
That doesn't.
No, I didn't.
No.
Don't knock on my Sonic credentials.
I've never played.
I finished the first 2 games.
All I'm saying is this. All I'm saying is it may as well be a fresh IP for a lot of the target audience they're targeting.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
That's no excuse for it to not bring in stuff from... It's the same when we're talking about Birds of Prey, we were like, there's not enough comic book stuff in there.
But those characters have been around forever and they're always in the
movie. Sonic's been around for longer than Harley Quinn.
Yeah, but she is everywhere, right? She's in like... Not all the movies. She was in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But she's been in all the games, and the games are massive. Or not all the games, in recent games.
Sonic has his own game franchise.
And they're not very popular anymore.
But he's an iconic character.
Yeah.
Even if Sonic there hadn't been a Sonic game for the last 20 years, he's still such an iconic character that you could point him out and say, "Oh, I know who that is." It's like he's to Sega as Mario is to Nintendo.
Yeah, that's true.
Even if you've never played a Mario game, you know who he is. You know he's a Nintendo guy.
He's the flagship character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, you're right, but I think you're over.
No.
I think you're
jumping.
overstating.
It's fine. It's fine that you and Jake like the movie.
No, I'm just saying.
You're now being complacent with corporate hive mind decision making.
I'm finding it hard to articulate my point. Let me talk. I'm just saying that you're over. You're giving Sonic as a cultural icon more impact than he has to the kids now. That's why they've done this.
But that's my point. Okay, so imagine you're a kid. All your friends have never heard of Sonic. You've never heard of Sonic. You see the trailer. You're like, I want to see Sonic because it's a fun blue guy. You go into the cinema. You get this exact same movie that we saw. That doesn't mean it's a good movie because it's introducing the kids. Also, for the people like us who do remember the original games and cartoons, you're not giving us what we wanted from that. So it doesn't matter what the audience is because what the studio is doing is ignoring both audiences, young and old, and is ignoring the IP that own the rights to make a movie for.
But here's the other thing. The reason I'm okay with having a different canon and having a different, a whole set of ideas behind what Sonic is because it's happened so many times.
Yeah.
They're setting everything up, but they're not throwing. It's not meant to be a movie to throw in the middle of it.
But how many major motion pictures have there been of Sonic the Hedgehog?
No.
All these other canons are all.
If you watch the first Sonic movie, the cartoon one, it also has nothing to do with any of the other Sonic canons.
But they're all their own independent things in their own canons. Some of them share canons, of course. But I watched the cartoons. They were fine. The comic books, I've read a couple of them. They were also entertaining.
Yeah.
They were all Sonic in their own way.
Yeah.
But like this film, for example, for all I know, they just repurposed some scripts they found lying in a pile.
Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to articulate is I feel like, Nathan, you're trying to bend yourself over backwards trying to come up with explanations.
No, I'm not.
When, like I said, this film, as far as I'm concerned, was scripts number 4,653 that they just put in Sonic
Alien,
here. We need rings instead of wormhole rings.
Yeah, Alien Kid gets
that's like I think.
I disagree. I just feel like Sonic is more obscure than you're making it out to be in relative to the competition.
It's not though.
No
I don't agree.
But even if he was, that's still not an excuse to ignore.
No, but I can see why they're having a safer origin story instead of just throwing audiences in the middle of it.
Like you can still, that's what I said before. You can still have the origin story. You can still have it introduced to people who are unfamiliar with Sonic. You can still have him go to Earth. But like I said, you still have to make a good movie out of that, and you still have to double down on the character and development and world building, and you still have to think of like, well, we've got the rights to Sonic. Let's bring in as much Sonic stuff as possible.
It should have been a
because otherwise it's just generic kids movie.
I mean,
I think it's fine.
I think they did do well on the actual character building. Like they built Sonic up to.
They did the minimum.
They saw that he was, in all the other Sonic canons, he's kind of crude. He's kind of, he's got the attitude.
Yeah.
It's the essential, 90s protagonist as like, oh, he's too cool
extreme dude.
Exactly, that. But this Sonic is clearly not exactly that. He's still got his kind of, his kind of crudish / he thinks he's too good for, well, not thinks he's too good, but thinks he is good.
He's naive and he thinks he's better than he is.
But at the same time, they do show that he has, personality flaws. It shows that he's still a kid at heart. Because this is, like we said, the reason I'm okay with it is because this is a different canon. This is a different Sonic. And that's why I don't necessarily hate, I agree with the fact that it probably would have been cooler if it was if it was in its own, if there was more Sonic's world. But the reason I appreciate it is because for what it was in this canon, I think it did what it did well.
Yeah. I mean, but it's like I said, you can have your own canon and be like, we're doing a different interpretation of Sonic that's, not exactly the same that you've seen before. But again, like you have to question why they're doing that. And why they're doing that, from my perspective, is that it was a studio decision, and that ties into the weird redesign of like, we're just going to make a weird kids generic kids movie.
Yeah, agreed. Like it definitely could have been better. I 100%, can see that it would have been better if it was all Sonic's.
But it's like if there was like if the director and the studio like executives were all massive Sonic fans.
Yeah, then it would have been a different movie.
Then it would have been a different movie that would have been more in line with what I wanted. Yeah. But if they decided to be like, we're taking it in a different direction, you'd hope that because they're such big fans, they would keep some of the essence that we've been talking about, and they would honor the original in a certain way. But I can almost guarantee you that the people who made this movie weren't big Sonic fans.
Yeah,
and it shows.
I highly doubt it. Yeah,
because of the way they dealt with it.
Yeah,
I think the way they dealt with it is what you were like. Yeah, it's fine. It's just a new interpretation. But I think the reason they did that is because they didn't care.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
That's why I said. That's why to me it feels like it just could be any other film. Is because, like I said, it could just be repurposed scripts. They did, like you said, the bare minimum. It's the taking Sonic out of his world, sticking him in a place that's cheaper to film.
They've done in so many other kids' movies,
and like I said, there's like, we know we're in this place because of Landmark.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah. I don't know. I just like when you think of like Sonic back in the day, it's just such a cool thing. Like
even with the canons where he's in the real world, like there's still like the epic boss battles. There's still I'm pretty sure there's Chaos Emeralds.
There's
still
there's still the Sonic essence in there. There's still there's
still anthropomorphic animals when he goes to like, or is that just from his world?
They're just the main ones, really.
That come with him.
At least I know, like Sonic Adventure and stuff. You still got like the really awesome map designs and the jumps and the. Like, that's kind of missing from the film.
Like, because, there's that Sonic Boom TV show, the CGI animated one, which came out a few years ago, which I don't really like.
Yeah.
But I feel like even if no one had ever heard of Sonic before, if you just started a movie where Sonic, Tails, Knuckles... What's the girl's name?
Amy.
Like, she's got the generic name out of all the... There's like all the cool...
She has an actual name.
Yeah, they've got all like cool names, and then she's like, hey. But anyway, it's like if they were just like a gang of friends who like hang out, and then Robotnik came and was like, I'm going to destroy your little town, and they're like, no, we have to fight against you. Like, that's a perfectly fine story. Like, there's no reason to be like, we're just going to pluck Sonic out and put him in the real world, and you know what I'm saying? Like, you can still make a kid-friendly family movie, but that doesn't have to be a straight origin story. Doesn't have to. You can introduce characters without having to show them as kids.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, speaking of, I want to know what little baby Sonic looked like before the redesign.
I want to know him, and I want to know Tails.
Tails, yeah. God damn. Just with the two tails would have been. It's kill it with fire.
Maybe I don't want to know.
No. Yeah. I feel like I do want to, just out of curiosity, I want to see a cut of the movie with the original design.
It's like, I want to know, but I'm sure once I know, I'll be like...
Once you know, you'd want to poke your eyes out with like hot pokers, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they could have... The Sonic movie could have used more Sonic,
Yeah, more brand.
More Sonic,
brand.
More Sonic stuff. Like, even the music, I think they only used the Green Hill Zone song once.
They used the Green Hill Zone... I think maybe twice. They also use the intro music. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
They use that a couple times.
But I feel like the whole score from start to finish should have just been like Sonic music. Because Sonic has great music.
It does. Absolutely does.
I
would have been more impressive if it started using the Sonic Adventure music, like the weird rock music.
Yeah.
They started introducing.
Yeah, like it's like I just want more. Like, because you can pick out. You can still have new stuff and do things differently, but you can also pick out from the last like 30 or so years and be like, we're going to take this, take that. And that way it's like more of a Sonic experience.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is just my personal thing, but like I wanted a giant Robotnik mecha robot.
That would be,
yeah. But also, like the, also one thing, because there's the bit where he's like watching TV through the window. The family, they don't know he's there, and they're watching Speed, obviously. And I was like, but he should do the bit from Top Gun. I got the need for speed.
Yeah, true.
And because Top Gun's made by Paramount, I'm like, they got the rights. Come on, it's right there. Yeah, like I wish they could. They should have just made an animated movie at the end of the day. I don't understand this.
A full-fledged Pixar DreamWorks-esque kind of proper expensive 3D big budget movie.
And like also, you could even do like a really cool Spider-Verse thing if you're gonna do the rings transporting you to different worlds. You could do like
different Sonics.
Yeah, it's like different versions of Sonic, and you could do like there's a 16-bit world.
Ooh, I'm not sure how I feel about that after Generations. I know Generations was actually a good game. But I think we're a little tired of seeing, classic Sonic and modern Sonic.
Yeah, but I'm like, they didn't have to have a team up. I'm just saying, like, when he goes through the portal, he could all of a sudden be in the casino zone, but it's like 16-bit.
Yeah.
And he runs through and Robotnik changes and maybe even looks at his hand. He's like, and Jim Carrey's voice is like, what the hell is this 16-bit, pixelated? And then they run through and then they go through the next portal and it's like normal CGI animation, and they go next portal and it's live action,
and then it's the cartoon, the exact same animation as style as the cartoon,
and then it's the 90s cartoon. I did like so there are a lot of like juvenile jokes in this that don't work. Sonic flosses, does the floss dance,
which is a crime.
Which
no one can defend flossing.
minus 10 points for that. And there's a couple of fight jokes which just really juvenile kids humor. Jim Carrey is mainly the source of humor just because he's just going off script. But one joke I did like was when they show the crazy guy in town who swears he's seen Sonic and no one believes him, and they show a picture of like a drawing that he made, and it's the Sonic like terribly drawn. I was just like, that's the best use of that meme in this kind of context,
Crazy Carl, now that you call him.
Yeah.
Observant Carl?
Very observant.
Very observant Carl.
I did like when he's got the chainsaw at the end and the deputy's like, no, put it down.
Pointing it away,
Yeah, no, it's just...
Also,
I don't know.
like some of the other references, like the when Sonic is like driving the thing, he's like, I feel like Vin Diesel. It's all about family, Tom.
Yeah. They do hammer home that family thing, but I don't know. I feel like they could have done that, but with like Tails and Knuckles and Amy,
Definitely could have been a better movie.
Yeah.
As much as that, because like I would definitely prefer if it was just pure Sonic, Sonic's world. But I think the main reason that I like it, and the same reason Nathan likes it, is just for what it was. Like if I'm just going to ignore that, it's like, okay, it could have been better if it was Sonic's world, but this is the choice they made.
Yeah.
If we're just going with the choice they made, what I got here was still good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like we shouldn't defend the choice they made if it was the wrong choice, or if it was a choice made like for a non-artistic reason.
I don't necessarily defend it.
Like
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I don't defend
it.
You're
it's like you would have liked something else, but for what you got, you were fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I was like, no, I would have rathered my Sonic idea.
Yeah.
Which is the idea that they should have gone with. Because it's like, finally a big budget live action Sonic movie. It's like they have the resources, and then they go, we're just gonna make a generic kids movie.
Mm.
Like, I feel like it's all from the very, like with Cats. It's like the very first decision they made was the wrong one.
They're just making the movie. They
and
shouldn't
then
have.
Yeah, and then everything off of that is just like, well, why are you doing this when you should have done it?
The ideal Cats movie is just a live action movie with just like, remember those old school 90s live action movies with animals where it was just voicing over.
Oh yeah, Homeward Bound.
Like Homeward Bound. The ideal Cats movie is just that, right? With just voices over cats.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Singing.
That's the only Cats movie I want to see.
Yeah.
And you have keyboard cat in the background.
Yeah.
And the what's the newest one? Bongo Cat.
I haven't. Is that a new one?
Yeah, it's just a little meme of like a little animated cat like tapping on the table.
I haven't seen it. It just like the whole movie is edited together from like cat YouTube videos and memes.
That'd be a good cat.
And then they just have the cats' songs like over them. Yeah, they could do that. It'd be cheaper and be less a disastrous result. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, it's such a bizarre decision they made, both with Sonic and Cats, and the people reaping the benefits are the people who made the wrong decision, where the people getting punished for it are the people who didn't make the decision, but
made
had
it better.
to do all the hard work, and who then
better.
ended up having to make it better.
It sucks what happened to the animation
Yeah.
companies.
Because I feel like, I mean, yeah, I recommend everyone go watch Life After Pi, the documentary, but also, like, I wish there was a way for... I remember when Prometheus came out, and I was just so baffled at how bad that movie was. But that movie looked incredible. Like, the production design and whatever, like, the costume design, like, incredible. So... hundreds of people worked really, really hard to make an objectively terrible movie. And I was just talking to my friend about it, and I was like, I wish I could pay the ticket price, but the revenue goes to the people who worked so hard on it, and not the idiots who wrote and directed the movie that was so bad.
Yeah. You want like a humble bundle system.
Yeah.
We get a little slide on where our ticket price goes.
Yeah. But it's like, I wish all the Sonic revenue should go to the animators.
Yeah.
Like the executives and all that, they shouldn't get a dime, because they, again, made the worst decision and then plopped it on the doorstep of these people who just like killed themselves to make something that was like whatever, you know? Like, it's just such a shame, and they should have they shouldn't get away with it, you know? But they will, because, you know,
that's not how things work.
Yeah, that's the way the industry works.
Yeah, and it's like we'll keep seeing this in movies. You know, hopefully something changes soon. But yeah, we'll keep seeing it. And, you know, like we were talking about the other week with Marvel movies and all that. It's like, you know, even movies that end up being really good, they still have some terrible CGI. Or even if the CGI is all good, that doesn't matter. It's like the people who made it didn't even get paid. You know, like, it's pretty messed up. You guys want to mention anything else?
No, I think we covered all the bases.
Yeah.
I just hope that in a sequel, because we saw Tails.
Yeah.
You know, that rose my excitement like so high as soon as I saw Tails.
And he had his phone, so I'm hoping for the tornado plane.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I am hoping, because we saw that and because we saw him come through a ring, that we do get more of what you said.
Yeah. Because if he has rings, then...
Exactly, then maybe we could travel to other worlds. And hopefully see more of the Sonic characters, and maybe even introduce the Chaos Emeralds. Yeah. Things like that.
Yeah, maybe, Dr. Robotnik's maybe gone to other...
He's harnessed the Chaos Emeralds, and that's why maybe now he doesn't need Sonic's power. He's found something stronger than Sonic.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm happy with what this film brought to the table.
Yeah.
But... You know,
but hopefully they introduce
like that.
Yeah,
and I'm hoping that possibly the sequel could introduce more.
They introduce
things.
More, yeah.
Yeah,
because like that, you know, because for me that the long claw owl lady was like such a bizarre choice. But I'm like, yeah, if she gave Sonic the rings and Tails has got the rings, it's like maybe there's more to that.
Yeah, exactly.
That they can
maybe
explore.
Tails eventually found Long Claw or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, maybe she didn't. Dead. Yeah, maybe exactly. Yeah. Fingers crossed, but.
You know why I think it might be a better film? Because Eggman is now in the Mushroom Kingdom, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So
crossover.
It might be
a. I was hoping that was a reference.
They could do.
We wanted a little pipe in the background.
Yeah, they
a little piranha plant.
Yeah, they could do Sonic Mario Olympics, the movie.
That's when the next one takes place.
It might be interesting if it was like a more interdimensional movie. Because you got Eggman off in this thing, you got Sonic, you got Tails rather coming into the picture now, so they might have more room for creative flexibility.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm hoping, because at the end when Robotnik does turn full Robotnik with the big mustache and bald and like the red suit, like, and then like hopefully they continue that on in the other movies, like he goes full.
This is exactly. They have to go back. So they can stop him from taking all the creatures or whatever for his canisters or whatever.
Yeah, and he's got like giant robots and crazy stuff.
Maybe that's what. Yeah, maybe he sees these creatures similar to Sonic, and
he captures them.
That's the whole thing about Robotnik. He always wants to turn these little woodland creatures into robots. Maybe Sonic hears about tells Sonic about.
Yeah.
And tries to recruit Sonic to help.
Yeah, but like personally, that's kind of what I wanted this movie to be.
Yeah,
is like, you know, the movie starts and it's like in the woodland, the green zone or whatever, and it's like, oh, Dr. Robotnik is trying to kidnap all the woodland creatures, and it's like it's up to Sonic and his friends to stop them. You know, like they kind of overcomplicated it. You know, they should have just been like, here's Sonic and his friends, here's the bad guy, you know, and go for it.
Yeah, I said, I was okay with the way it went, but yeah, I
That would've
would
been
like to
better.
see more Sonic later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, yeah, if they animated the whole thing, like, yeah, they wouldn't have done that weird photorealistic thing.
That's true, yeah.
Oh, God. Could you imagine an entirely photorealistic like fully animated?
Oh, no.
God.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I want to watch it
Like,
though.
Encore looks like that, all the echidnas look like that. It's like,
Oh, God. Even Eggman.
yeah.
What would
Eggman's not human.
Yeah, it's like he's not played by him. He's like awkwardly animated to look like him, but not
Yeah.
really. Oh, God. I don't know. What were they thinking? They're nuts. They're nuts.
Like, it legit looked like, a child in a onesie.
Yeah, and he had these weird. He had these weird, like, athletic human legs.
Yeah.
And I was
And,
just like, why?
Fingers.
Yeah, and the teeth were the worst part.
Oh, yeah, the teeth was...
It's just like, why? What?
I mean, hedgehogs have teeth. Like, Sonic has teeth.
Yeah, but
I
not
think hedgehogs
weird.
have teeth, but not
Weird
human-looking teeth.
yeah, like shiny,
exactly.
big, and they're all, oh, God, just stop it. Hollywood, stop.
Yeah.
Hollywood, before you want to make a video game movie, call in Tuesday Review.
Yeah.
Message us on Facebook, Instagram. But that's the other thing I wanted to say was with Detective Pikachu was how, yeah, like I said, it's like it felt more like a Pokemon movie than Sonic felt like a Sonic movie. But the thing with, like, that's one of the things when we reviewed Pikachu was I was like, yes, it's technically a video game movie, but Pokemon is such a multimedia franchise that's, anime, video games, so many different things, and it has gone for so long. And it's like, yes, it's technically an adaptation of the Detective Pikachu DS. Was it DS?
3DS.
3DS game.
3DS,
Yeah. So yes, it's technically an adaptation of that, but it also has influences from the anime and the animated movie and the other video games. And it's like, so can you call it a video game movie?
Yes.
And I think we were kind of divided, but at the end of the day, it kind of was yes.
Because it's directly based on a video game.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but it's like, but it wasn't it wasn't a straight adaptation. Like the story was different, and it had so many other different influences.
50-50.
Yeah, so
it was closer to the game than it's not.
Yeah,
In terms of
but
story.
it had so many other influences, like from the anime and stuff. But anyway, like my point is like Sonic. Yes, it's technically a video game movie, but it's not really based on any one
game. Yeah.
game
It's
or
not like Tomb
storyline.
Raider, for example.
Yeah.
Or the Mario Brothers.
So
Well-
in the pantheon of video game movies, which are almost universally bad, for you guys, Sonic might be towards the top, but for me, it's like still in the melting pot of other bad video game movies. Like it didn't rise, because remember when Pikachu came out, everyone's like, finally a good video game movie, and I was like, hang on, it's kind of not, but it is. Whereas this one, I'm like, yeah, it kind of is. But it's also not really.
It wasn't
But
offensive.
it didn't rise up. Yeah, it didn't rise up above the other bad video game movies. But yeah, it wasn't terrible.
The next good one's going to be Uncharted.
Nah, man, that's going to be bad.
Are going to be good because it's such a simple story.
Yeah, but how many times have they fucked up a simple story?
Yeah, but it's Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
No, possibly.
No, but not being made
Hey,
by.
they've never
not
made
being
a
made
bad
by Spielberg.
They've never made a bad Indiana Jones movie.
Well, no, they
before.
haven't.
People also say like the new Tomb Raider series is essentially Uncharted but the girl.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was bad. I did not like Tomb Raider at all.
The new movie.
Yeah.
I hated the new movie.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. At
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
I think what
And
this
I
one.
love that game.
Yeah, I like the Angelina Jolie one better, and
Yeah.
that's not a great movie.
I've hope.
No, man. Don't get your hopes up.
I don't know, man.
Look, hopefully
I like
it's-
Tom Holland. I like
Yeah.
Marky Mark.
Oh, I hate Marky Mark. I hope he's because they kept rumor. He's like kept rumor.
He's Sully.
Did they confirm it?
Yeah.
No, that was just a rumor. I'm pretty sure they haven't confirmed it. Look it up.
I'll look it up.
If they've confirmed it, I'm calling it now. The movie's shit, and I don't want to see it. We'll see it for the show.
Well, we didn't want to see Star Wars, but we saw that.
Yeah, we suffered through that. But yeah, like video game movies still haven't.
Got there yet.
Yeah.
With the exception of Mario Brothers. And technically, the Final Fantasy movies are directly also based on video games in the sense that
The CGI animated
Kingsglaive is.
I've never seen that.
Kingsglaive is based on 15, and Advent Children, of course, is based on 7. Both of those movies are actually
If
good.
I know nothing about Final Fantasy, can I watch those movies as standalones?
Advent Children, probably not.
Okay.
Kingsglaive, yes.
All right, I'll watch that one.
Well, if you're talking about animated movies too, the first Sonic movie was good.
Yeah.
Again, a kids movie, but
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both animated movies.
Animated
but,
movies are also cheating because, like, you can almost directly copy stuff from the games without it having to enter the realm of like realism.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And you
one.
can also argue it's like, oh, the Pokemon movies are video game movies as well, like the animated Pokemon movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
that being said,
yeah.
the Final Fantasy games do aim for a more photorealistic approach. It's not like cartoony 3D.
Yeah.
It's that kind of, we want it to look pseudo-realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously,
they're
there's
going for
magic
the
and stuff,
photorealistic,
but-
yeah.
Yeah.
But like, because I just finished season 3 of Castlevania, which is arguably one of the best video game shows. It's not a movie, but that's animated.
Yeah.
So they can like take all the crazy stuff from the
Yeah,
games
exactly,
and just be like, yeah, there's demons and there's guys with whips and crazy stuff. But it's like if they tried to make it live action, they would either CGI it to death or they would deliberately try to tone it down and make it
Yeah.
more grounded and realistic, and they'd get rid of stuff from the
makes it
games that
iconic.
makes it iconic. So it's kind of cheating.
Yeah.
But it's like, but then
It's
like,
kind of how you have to adapt it.
yeah,
though,
it's
anyway.
like we always say, it's like animation is a legit art
form.
form. Like we shouldn't, but it also it's easier to animate stuff from a video game than it is to translate it to live action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maki Maki is Sully.
All right, and that it's done. Are you sure? Because it was been rumored for years, and he's like, no,
No, they
and he's
start
like,
filming
yeah.
in 2 weeks. He's done interviews about
All right, I'm out.
it. I'm in.
No.
Yeah, I'm leaning more into it.
2 thumbs down and 2 big toes down.
Uncharted
And-
is possibly one of my favorite video game series of all time.
Yeah, but
I'm in.
But this is what it's one of my favorite video game series. But this is why I'm out, because you can't like video game movies have had a bad track record,
look.
and the adaptation they're going for again is not the best. And I don't like Marky Mark, and they're going to CGI it to death, even when they should go full practical.
Most likely.
I understand that because that's why, like, a lot of things like I try and avoid. Like, I was heartbroken by Tomb Raider, and despite the fact that The Witcher has gotten amazing reviews, I was so hesitant on wanting to know anything about it because I was just like, I want to ignore them.
Yeah.
The Witch is
Because
good.
the video games are so close to my heart. I worry that
Yeah.
a different form of media just won't work with
The
it.
Witch is good. I found it too dark, and that's so they can probably just make CGI look a bit better. But I found a lot of The Witcher to be too dark visually.
Yeah.
But other than that, I liked it a lot.
Witcher was 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I don't remember
loved it.
if we
Although
when we reviewed it. I don't think we talked.
No, I didn't whinge about it then. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I don't think it
But,
was even a.
There was a lot of
big
nighttime
problem.
scenes, a lot of squinting. I'm like,
But that's
most.
That's you have to do it at nighttime because it's
Yeah.
beasties and
Yeah.
so on. No, it's a good show. You should watch it.
It is
I-
good.
I
It
still-
won't.
I still want
It
to,
won't.
yeah.
It won't ruin the games because it's so.
it's set
so far
many,
removed.
many years before the game.
Yeah, it's so far. It's like a good companion piece. You can
Yeah.
you can play the games and watch the show.
And if you're like me, you just get a little bit annoyed every time they don't call Yeskia
Dandelion.
Dandelion.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like I said, in season 2, he could come back. That's his rock star name. He's
Yeah,
Bard.
that's-
Rock.
that's it.
rock
Call me
Bard.
Dandelion now.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I'm Dandelion now. He's like, you rejected me in season 1, so now I'm back.
Yeah.
I think he should come back with like a little Van Dyke mustache
Yeah.
and beard, and she'd be like, "I'm Dandelion now." But I want to see if Sonic does well and seems to be doing well. I want to see other Sega properties adapted into
Want to see a
movies.
Yakuza adaptation?
Yeah, Yakuza.
That'd be easy to
Jack
do.
Ryan.
That one's
Yeah,
easy.
that's easy.
You know they'll screw it up, but
Yeah.
that one's easy.
Jack Ryan Radio, just random kids on rollerblades graffitiing things.
Toe Jam and Earl,
Shenmue TV show.
Echo the Dolphin, live action.
Oh, no.
No, but with Castlevania, the success of that, it would be easy to make an Altered Beast show, like a
Yeah,
animated show.
An animated.
And I want to see.
Netflix is doing a Resident Evil too, aren't they?
They announced that a while ago, but I haven't heard anything since. Right?
Resident Evil, it has been a movie.
No,
for a
they
while.
were going to reboot the movie series.
No, Netflix is doing an original series. I'm pretty sure. Let me look.
Are they doing both the movie and the series? Because I remember James Wan, who did the Saw movies, he was attached to produce or at least some reboots of the movies.
Yeah, from an article on whatsonnetflix.com, Resident Evil is coming to Netflix after years of hoaxes, confirmation, and then a long wait. The first details are dropping about Season 1 of Resident Evil, likely due in 2021.
Does it say if it's live action?
I think it's supposed to be. No one is commenting, but I hear the plan is for the series to expand the Resident Evil universe and deepen the existing mythology. The series will keep the basic premise, which... Sorry, Siri popped up.
Damn.
Damn Siri. I hear the series... Oh, so I said... Sorry. We'll keep the basic premise, which also served as a setup for the movie franchise. The drama will explore the dark inner workings of the Umbrella Corporation and the New World Order caused by the outbreak of the T-virus. While the project is in early stages, the series is expected to incorporate all of Resident Evil's signature elements, including action sequences and Easter eggs. In early 2020, Netflix's media site listed an official description for the series. Here's what the description said. The town of Clearfield, MD, has long stood in the shadow of three seemingly unrelated behemoths: the Umbrella Corporation, the decommissioned Greenwood Asylum, and Washington, D.C. Today, 26 years after the discovery of the T-virus, secrets held by the three will start to be revealed at the first signs of outbreak.
So basically, we know nothing.
So we know nothing.
We don't know if it's live action.
I already want to say,
yeah,
big mistake to make a live action. It should be an anime. I think
they made those CG animated movies which were okay.
I mean, like proper 2D anime, like because I think
I could see
too many moving parts for live action. They'll mess it up. They'll use too much CG.
Yeah,
especially with seeing how how popular Castlevania is.
Yeah,
like they've proven they can make a compelling anime show based on a video game.
But also, like I think because I remember when the James Wan reboot movies were announced, and the general consensus was the action-heavy Resident Evil movies had their time.
Yeah.
Now it's time to go back to horror. Especially with Resident Evil 7 coming out, which is more simple horror. Like, this series, it seems like it'll just be an action show. But they should bring it back to, like, the horror, the survival.
Because having played Resident Evil 2, the Resident Evil 2 remake...
Oh, so good.
That's an amazing game.
I listened to your Sunrise Arcade, best games of the decade.
Oh, yeah.
And when you were telling me how much you enjoyed it, I was like, yes, Jake, yes.
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely adore that game.
I think it was my favourite game of last year.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of other games.
But yeah, like that was definitely up
so
there.
good.
It's expected to be live action because the Netflix studio who's behind the production of this show has only ever done live action.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think they'd do an animated one unless they said they were.
You can do Resident Evil decently live action.
You could do both. You could do like an Altered Carbon thing where they're doing the.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Because if it's
they did that with Blade Runner too. Technically,
it was like
they've got the animated show.
Well, the animated show, they're still making animated show, right? Oh, they said they were.
They said that it's been a while, but yeah.
Sorry, Jake. What were you saying?
Technically,
that's right. Yeah. If it's like the slow, more horror based ones, like you said, like 7 and like the 2 remake, then I think live action could work fine for that.
Yeah, if it
was more action based, then
and that way they can make it more simple, more practical based. They don't have to go crazy CGI monsters all the time.
If it's half a mystery, then it's sort of
like a mystery,
mystery horror
survival.
Element.
Yeah, you don't have to have car chases and guys shooting.
You don't need Nemesis running through walls and
or if you do, you have it like the games where it's like part of the horror. It's like he's stalking me, and like don't make it like in the animated movies and in the live action Mila Jovovich movies, where it's just like on a motorbike with like a Uzi and a katana, and it's like this isn't Resident Evil anymore.
We need what's his face? Was Mr. X or is that his name?
Mr. X.
Yeah. X gonna give it to
someone just running away from him.
They should do an animated series just about the life of Mr. X, like what he does when you don't see him.
There with a newspaper.
He goes to sit on the toilet with a newspaper, but it breaks because he's too heavy, and this is like,
he's just really sad all the time.
Yeah, sad all the time. He can't take his trench coat off because it has that technology that keeps him from turning into a monster.
It's too hot.
It's too hot. But I'll turn into a tentacle monster if I. But Resident Evil's Capcom, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But the other Sega property I want is like a live action movie or animated series is Phantasy Star.
Oh yeah.
The RPG?
Because like it's like high fantasy, but it's also sci-fi, and it's like thousands of years in the future, but it's like people still use swords. It's kind of got like a Dune kind of thing going on.
A little bit, yeah.
and it's like different planets.
It's kind of coming into vogue again.
With the online.
Yeah, because there was that Japanese game that came out like 2004.
Yeah.
And Fantasy Star Online 2. And it never got released in the West. And then this year they're like coming to the West on Xbox.
Yeah.
People are like, wait, what?
But we're 16 years too late.
Yeah, it's a bit late.
The problem is it still feels like a game of 2004.
Yeah. But like with the success of Castlevania, I think you could easily do like an anime series. Yeah. But like a big budget live action would be so cool. But they'd CGI it to death and it would be shit.
But I mean, Phantasy Star would be great as like a Netflix original.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like you said, it's like Dune. Like you could tell a big story.
Or if they kept it like an Altered Carbon thing where, there's a lot of special effects, but the story is kind of simple and focused. And it's like to conserve budget, they obviously have to keep it to certain locations. And like they could do that and don't go too crazy with it. But yeah, I always thought that would be a cool movie or show.
Yeah.
For Sega animated series, we can at least be sure there's probably another Persona 1 coming.
Yeah, that'd be good. A Persona.
Do they make anime?
Every
anime
game gets anime.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is cool.
Yeah. Are they good?
3 and 4 did.
3 and 4... 5's probably going to get something.
I'm assuming 5's going to get one.
Are they good though? Or are they just kind of like...
I've been told they've been good. I watched 3 and 3 was good. I had some flaws with it, but it was good.
Yeah.
A lot of people say 4 is really good though.
Some are... a couple of them have been retellings of like the game.
Mm.
Some take place like after the game and some are like... So it's sort of each is different. You have to sort of look into it and see like, do I need to play the game first? Or is it just a retelling?
Yeah.
Is it going to need me to know anything? Some of them are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And Persona's weird. There's a lot of required knowledge sometimes.
Yeah, it's strange.
It's like you get some sort of weird spin-off game. There's technically the sequel, but you don't want to play that because it's a dancing
Exactly.
game.
Dancing. Yeah.
But technically, it's still continuing the story. And the next one's a fighting game, and it seems cool, but I have no idea what's going on because I didn't play the dancing game.
What the hell?
Yeah.
It's a very Japanese franchise.
It is.
Well, I mean, they could, with the success of this Sonic movie...
make a Dancing Sonic game.
Dancing Sonic game, yeah. But I was going to say, if they should... Because they haven't really made a big game for the last 5 or so years. They've made mobile games.
I think the last big one was Sonic Forces, which would have been 2017.
Okay.
But they
haven't made a good one in 10
Technically,
years.
the good one was Sonic Mania, which was like essentially a fan-created game.
Really?
Basically, Sega went to this indie company.
Yeah.
And they were making like Sonic fan games and stuff. And they were just like, hey, do you want to make an actual Sonic game?
Yeah.
And they did.
Because I imagine they're like, because we forgot how.
Is that the one where they're just like, we're kind of going to reinterpret the original?
Yeah,
it's on Switch and
it's called
stuff.
Sonic Mania. Yeah, it's like it's
good.
got a lot of just reimagined zones from the originals.
Oh, cool.
And then some original ones that they put in as well. And
When
the
did this
original
come
ones
out?
they put in were really good.
When did this come out?
2017 as well.
Mania's a good game.
Okay, so that's a recent one.
When did the Secret Rings
big
come out?
3D one. Secret Rings was a long time.
That was a long time.
Because that was a good one, wasn't it, guys?
I think the last
I wish.
the last one with critical acclaim was like 10 years ago. I think
Generations probably would have been the last one that
actually
anyone did
was
really
people
well.
liked. And then because Sega went crazy and they were like, now there's guns in it and there's and it's like, they went kind of weird.
They went so weird.
Yeah. But
I'm hoping because they did say that 2020, and I'm assuming for 2021, they said that like every month they're gonna have a new Sonic announcement.
Every month.
Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what it's been so far.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm hoping that with the movie, like they maybe try to make another good game.
I hope so. Yeah.
And maybe bring it back to basics.
It's going to be a video game adaptation, boys.
I hope it's not. That.
Remember.
Like I said, I like it for what it is. I don't want to play a video game of that.
Remember? Oh yeah, God. With the photorealistic original Sonic.
That'd be an unlockable skin.
I would play it if it was made by Telltale, or it was something like that.
That'd be interesting.
That would be a really interesting.
It would be weird. I mean,
that would make no sense for Sonic. But
I didn't say you played a Sonic.
You played
Tom.
or a Robotnik.
Oh yeah. But yeah, like remember when they released Rayman Legends, and it was like back to basics, but also new and different.
Yeah.
It's like, I love that game. And I was like, they could do that with Sonic and be like, it's new and different, but also just kind of back to basics.
That'd be fantastic.
Which they've done a couple times, but like, they should get a new one going.
Yeah. Like, I'm hoping that, because, like I said, they're going to do an announcement every month. I'm hoping they do eventually announce something for maybe next year for the 30th anniversary.
I anticipate classic collections because they're in vogue.
They're showing classic collections everywhere.
There's heaps,
with Sega Ages.
Yeah, I anticipate like a Sonic mega pack of games, basically.
That would be cool.
On all the sort of current gens.
Remake the adventure games.
Yeah. They haven't re-released those, have they?
They've re-released them a few, like on
back in
Steam and stuff. But
okay.
I'd love one on Switch.
Yeah, Switch. Everything, all the Sonic games need to be on Switch. Like I know they released the collection, but
I'd love to play the Sonic Adventure games on the Switch. I think it's the perfect console for it.
yeah, it's such a perfect console.
Yeah, they do need, because like those games, like as much as I love them, they had their flaws, and it would be nice if they remade it. It's like just polish it. Yeah, polish it up a little bit and make it a little nicer, a little better to control.
This is taking away from the greatest Sonic game of all time, Sonic 06.
Yeah. I remember, like, as much as hate as that got, I watched because I never played it.
Yeah.
I watched a Let's Play of it.
Can you like Sonic 06? Sonic the Hedgehog 2006.
This is called Sonic the Hedgehog, yeah.
It's like notoriously terrible, like unplayably broken.
Oh, I think I've got it. I think I have it in my mind's eye. I think I know.
It's like a 3D version.
You really wanted to buy it.
At
one point.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially, unfortunately, the Sonic Adventure 3 that everyone wanted. That's what it was.
Oh, really?
And, like, I remember I ended up watching a Let's Play of it, and I was like, this has the groundwork for a good game.
Yeah.
But then it's just not.
Yeah.
Like, I think they just rushed it.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of games have done that.
Yeah, I think Sonic, like a lot of Sonic games, like after Generations, everyone was like, yes, do more of this. And then like, yeah, we're going to give you a little bit of this, but also do weird stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, go, you've got the good formula here. Don't go crazy.
A lot of times they end up rushing it. Even Sonic Boom, which was, again, notoriously bad.
Oh, the game version, yeah.
Yeah, apparently the 3DS one wasn't as bad, but the Wii U version was terrible. That game, when it was first being introduced, it looked like Jak and Daxter or Ratchet and Clank, just like kind of regular 3D platformer-esque game.
Okay.
Where Sonic does move a little bit slower in like when he's fighting enemies, but then he moves faster when he's like in between, like just in a regular level.
Yeah.
It actually looked like it played really well. But then again,
they
rushed
have to change,
and it just became awful.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, the redesigns always looked kind of weird, like Knuckles being ridiculously muscly.
because it's the games were based on the animated show, right?
I think it was the other way around.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They made a Sonic Boom show based on the games? I think. Yeah. Yeah, because that was weird. He's got a bandana. He's got like weird bandages.
Yeah, like the sports tape for some reason.
Yeah. And Knuckles has them all on his arms.
Yeah,
like,
Knuckles
why?
is buff as all hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
there was no reason for it, but yeah, like when they originally started off that game, it looked like it might actually be good.
Yeah.
But then they unfortunately rushed it and played awfully.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping because on Sonic Boom, the show I think was popular for a bit, and then I think it's finished.
I think it might be. Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids liked it.
Yeah, but like it'd be cool to get a new Sonic animated show. That's not based on the new movie, and that's not necessarily based on the games, but it's like just a new version.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the old Sonic cartoons from the 90s were really cool.
They were, yeah. Like I've always said, because when Sonic Forces was coming out,
yeah,
it was like kind of advertised with like "Join the Rebellion" or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be like Sonic Underground because that canon is so different.
That's so fun. They're like in dark. A band, and they have
that part was
Sonic has like a electric guitar that like shoots laser beams. It's so cool.
But like the concept of Eggman was really cool because it was like Eggman's already won.
It's like a dystopian city, police state.
Exactly, yeah. So like everyone's been turned into robots. And
See, I wanted that.
Sonic's trying to get it back.
I wanted that in this movie. Like make a big budget Sonic Underground where he's like his mother puts him in hiding, and then he grows up to be like a rebel fighting against Dr. Robotnik's.
You wanted Star Wars.
State.
That would have been incredible.
Yeah, of course. It's a classic underdog. Yeah, well, Star Wars is screwed up, and Sonic is.
Also screwed up.
It's kind of screwed up, but they can salvage Sonic. They can't salvage Star Wars.
That's true.
I think people would argue with.
Yeah, well, the repeated attempts to salvage Sonic haven't been.
He's not dead yet.
Yeah, he's not completely dead.
Just like the games, as long as he has one ring, he's still alive.
Yeah, hold on to that ring.
Yeah,
yeah. All right, I think that's it.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, I think we're good.
Thank you very much, Jake, for coming in.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
This is the first time you've been on Tuesday Review.
I think so, yeah.
And I think it's the first... Because we had you on once for Man vs. Movies back in the day, but that was like a special video game episode that we recorded in the garage.
Yeah, I remember that,
yeah. But we always meant to get you on properly in the studio. So, and this is the perfect time for that because you're like the Sonic expert.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, it was a good discussion. Do you want to plug Sunrise Arcade?
Yeah, sure. Watch Sunrise Arcade.
Listen to it.
Yeah, you can watch it if you try.
If you have,
we'll let you into the studio. You can watch it through the window.
10 a.m. Saturday mornings.
Yeah. Download the podcast.
Yeah, I don't have all the information as well as Alan has it down.
Download the podcast and subscribe
we're on
to
Shout
Facebook.
Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen.
Thank you, Nathan.
Subscribe to Facebook. Yeah.
We're on Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah.
Yep.
And all the video game news and reviews and coronavirus discussions.
Hey, it's affecting every industry.
No, it is, yeah. Especially the video game industry because
all the consoles are getting delayed, all the games are getting
E3
delayed.
is going to get cancelled.
E3 is cancelled.
RIP.
Hopefully PAX will still be around.
Hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
This year.
Yeah. Nathan, I think it's your turn to sign off.
Yes. Thank you for listening. Please like and share the Tuesday Review Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Tuesday Review AU. Follow James on Instagram at Channel Drifter, where he talks about all the movies that we don't get a chance to talk about on the show. You can find all of our previous episodes on your favorite podcasting app. If you do like video games, please check out Sunrise Arcade, where Alan, Jake, and myself talk about video game news and reviews. You can also check out Matty J's show Car Talk, TORQE, for all your automotive discussion. Please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the Tuesday Review on iTunes. Adios, cousins.